All right, so are you ready for a deep dive into one of history's most chilling mysteries?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
We're talking about the Siberian Sleep Trials,
Right.
a story so unsettling it's been whispered about for decades.
Yeah.
No official records,
Hmm.
just rumors and speculation making it all the more intriguing.
It's like trying to piece together a puzzle with, like, missing pieces.
Exactly.
But even the fragments we have paint a pretty disturbing picture.
Yeah, we're talking about World War II, the Soviet Union, a time and place known for pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even what's ethical in the name of victory.
The backdrop is key here.
Right.
Imagine the pressure cooker of a global conflict.
Oh, absolutely.
The potential for scientific innovation, but also for ruthless experimentation,
Yeah.
was enormous.
So the story goes that Soviet scientists were working on a gas,
Okay.
an experimental concoction designed to eliminate the need for sleep.
Wow.
And they needed test subjects,
Oh, of course.
enter 5 prisoners of war, offered a tantalizing deal.
Boy.
Participate in a 15-day experiment and you'll walk free.
They were sealed in a chamber.
Wow.
Basic amenities provided.
Okay.
Microphones recording their every word, but no cameras,
Interesting.
which adds another layer of mystery to the whole thing.
Right.
We only have these alleged transcripts, these disembodied voices to rely on.
It's like listening to a radio drama, but knowing it might be based on a real-life horror story.
Yeah.
And for the first 3 days, things seemed almost normal.
The prisoners chatted, reminisced almost like a forced sleepover.
Uh-huh.
But if you read between the lines, you start to see the cracks.
Yeah, their conversations take a turn.
Right.
They become more paranoid suspicious.
Uh-huh.
Like the isolation or maybe something in that gas is starting to unravel their mind.
What's fascinating here is the psychological aspect.
Right.
What happens when you deprive someone of sleep, isolate them,
Yeah.
then add an unknown chemical agent into the mix?
Well, by day 6, the microphones pick up an eerie silence. The prisoners barely speak, and when they do, it's incoherent whispers.
Really?
Almost like they're slipping into a shared delusion.
This is where it starts to get truly unsettling.
Yeah.
Were they losing their grip on reality?
Right.
Was it the psychological pressure, the gas,
Yeah.
or a combination of both?
And then on day 9, the silence shatters.
Oh, no.
Screaming begins.
Oh, gosh.
One prisoner screams so violently he permanently damages his vocal cords.
Wow.
The others start frantically blocking the observation windows with shredded pages from the books they were given.
They're clearly terrified. But of what?
It's a good question.
Was it something they saw, something they felt?
Yeah.
Or hallucinations brought on by sleep deprivation and the mysterious gas?
It's almost like they're trying to shut out the world. Or
So-
maybe something in that world that only they can perceive.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Then silence again for 3 excruciating days.
Oh, my gosh.
The only way researchers knew they were alive was by monitoring the oxygen levels.
Imagine the tension in that control room. Knowing something is horribly wrong, but having no way to see what's happening.
It's like a slow-motion train wreck, and you're powerless to stop it.
Totally.
Finally, the researchers try to communicate,
Okay.
offering freedom to anyone who complies.
Yeah.
And the response,
What do they say?
we no longer want to be free.
That statement is chilling,
I know, right?
and it raises a crucial question. What had happened to them that made freedom, a basic human desire, so terrifying?
Right?
What had they become?
It flips the entire narrative on its head.
Yeah.
Instead of desperate prisoners yearning for release, you have what?
I don't know. It's bizarre.
Begging to stay in that nightmare.
It's as if their perception of reality, of what constitutes freedom, had been completely distorted.
Yeah.
Was it the gas, the sleep deprivation, or something else entirely?
Whatever it was, it seems like they crossed a point of no return.
Right.
On day 15, the researchers decided to end the experiment, replace the gas with fresh air. But when they opened the chamber, it wasn't the joyous reunion they expected.
Far from it.
What happened?
The prisoners became agitated, violent, even
Ooh.
pleading for the gas to be turned back on.
Really?
They were terrified of the fresh air of being without the very substance that was seemingly destroying them.
But that's nothing compared to the scene inside the chamber.
What was it like?
One prisoner is dead, horribly mutilated with chunks of flesh missing.
The implication being cannibalism.
It appears so.
Oh my God.
The drain was clogged with human tissue. The walls smeared with blood.
That's awful.
The surviving prisoners had severe self-inflicted injuries like they'd been tearing at their own flesh.
It's almost too horrific to comprehend.
It really is.
What could have driven them to such desperation?
This is where the story starts to feel allegorical.
Right.
Almost like a descent into humanity's primal instincts.
I see that.
It forces us to ask what happens to the human psyche when pushed to the absolute limit.
Yeah, good question.
And the horror didn't end there.
What else happened?
Soldiers entered the chamber to subdue the prisoners, and utter chaos erupted.
One soldier was killed.
Oh, gosh.
His throat torn out by a prisoner.
How awful.
Another prisoner died during the struggle from a ruptured spleen.
It was a brutal primal scene.
It sounds like it.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
Totally.
But knowing it could be based on reality makes it even more disturbing.
Yeah, it really does.
What happened to those soldiers was absolutely brutal.
And it speaks to the complete breakdown of rational behavior.
Right.
They were no longer acting like human beings, but like something driven purely by instinct and aggression.
The remaining 2 prisoners were eventually restrained and transported to a medical facility. But even there, the bizarre events continued.
Really? What happened?
Attempts to sedate them were met with ferocious resistance.
Wow.
They were absolutely terrified of falling asleep.
It was as if they believed sleep would kill them.
But wouldn't any sane person be exhausted after that ordeal? I mean, wouldn't they welcome sleep?
You'd think so.
Right.
But here's where it gets really strange.
Okay.
Sedatives had absolutely no effect on them.
Wow.
Their bodies seemed to be rejecting anything that could induce sleep.
So what happened when they tried anesthesia?
That's when things took an even darker turn.
Oh, no.
One prisoner went into immediate cardiac arrest the moment he lost consciousness.
So sleep literally became lethal for him.
It seems that way.
Gosh.
The other prisoner fought with incredible strength,
Wow.
breaking free from his restraints.
Oh, my goodness.
And guess what? He also died the instant he was forced unconscious.
It's like their bodies had become dependent on that gas.
Yeah.
Like they needed it to function, even though it was clearly driving them mad.
The scientists were baffled.
And
They had never encountered anything like it before.
Right.
It challenged their understanding of human physiology and the nature of sleep itself.
Okay, but what about the last surviving subject?
Yeah.
You said he was begging to go back into that chamber.
He was terrified of sleep.
Wow.
He pleaded with the scientists to give him more gas.
Really?
Anything to keep him awake.
That's crazy.
The researchers, driven by morbid curiosity, agreed to monitor him.
So what did they find?
Well,
Did they figure out what was going on?
as they studied his brainwave activity, they noticed something truly bizarre.
Okay.
Every time he blinked, or even microslept for a split second, his brain activity flatlined.
So every time he drifted off, even for a moment,
Yeah,
his brain basically shut down.
precisely.
Wow.
It seemed that the gas had rewired his sleep cycle,
Huh.
making sleep itself a trigger for death.
That's horrifying.
It is.
So in the end, even with all their efforts, they couldn't save him.
No.
Oh, God.
He eventually succumbed to exhaustion and died.
That's so sad.
His body simply couldn't function without sleep, even though sleep itself had become a death sentence.
What a tragic and unsettling end.
I know.
So we're left with this incredible story, but no real answers.
The experiment was deemed a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Its results were classified,
Oh, wow.
and its very existence was denied.
So officially, it never happened.
Officially, no.
But the rumors persist.
Exactly. The story of the Siberian Sleep Trials continues to circulate in the shadows,
It does.
fueling our fascination with the unknown
Mm-hmm.
and the dark side of scientific ambition.
It makes you wonder what else might be hidden in the annals of history.
Yeah.
What other experiments might have taken place that we'll never know about.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And it raises some uncomfortable questions about the limits of human experimentation and the ethical boundaries that may have been crossed in the pursuit of progress.
It's a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge, especially in times of war, can lead to dark and dangerous places.
Places where the lines between scientific curiosity and human cruelty become blurred.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder about the ripple effects, right?
Oh, yeah.
If this experiment did happen, even if it was ultimately deemed a failure,
Right.
wouldn't that knowledge have been valuable to someone?
It's tempting to think so.
Yeah.
Imagine the potential applications.
Wait.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
Soldiers who never tire, workers who never sleep.
Right.
But then you have to consider the cost. the horrific side effects, the ethical implications.
It's like opening Pandora's box.
Yeah.
You might get what you wished for,
right?
But at what price?
Exactly.
It makes that statement from the prisoners even more haunting.
Oh, yeah.
We no longer want to be free.
It's chilling.
It's like they glimpsed the abyss of this never-ending wakefulness and found it terrifying.
Perhaps they understood something we don't.
What do you mean?
Maybe sleep isn't just about rest, but about resetting, processing, dreaming. Maybe depriving someone of sleep doesn't just make them tired. It fundamentally alters who they are.
That's a chilling thought.
It is.
It's like the gas didn't just eliminate their need for sleep. It robbed them of some essential part of their humanity.
And that brings us back to the heart of this mystery. The Siberian Sleep Trials, whether real or a product of our collective anxieties, forces us to confront our own relationship with sleep.
We take it for granted, right?
We do.
It's this essential part of our lives, yet we don't fully understand it. And this story, this alleged experiment, suggests that tampering with that fundamental need could have dire consequences.
It's a reminder that there are limits to what we can and should manipulate about ourselves.
Absolutely.
And perhaps some mysteries are better left unsolved.
But wouldn't it be amazing if just one piece of concrete evidence surfaced?
Oh, yeah.
A photograph, a document, something to prove whether this was a real event or a cautionary tale?
Perhaps. But even without definitive proof, the story persists. And in a way that's more powerful.
I see what you mean.
It becomes a kind of modern folklore, a warning whispered across generations about the dangers of unchecked ambition.
And maybe that's enough.
I think so.
Maybe the real value of the Siberian Sleep Trials isn't in finding out if it truly happened, but in what it makes us think about, question, and ultimately fear.
It's a story that stays with you.
Yeah, it really is.
That makes you look at sleep differently. That makes you wonder what secrets might still be lurking in the shadows of history.
So for those of you listening, the next time you lay your head down to sleep, maybe spare a thought for the Siberian Sleep Trials.
Okay.
A reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we don't or can't fully understand.
Right.
Sweet dreams, everyone.